Should we have a couple of quick questions? Kitty, do you want to come for me? Yep.
Yeah, for both Prime Ministers, actually. Do you have any clarity on where the missiles that landed in Poland came from and who fired them? And as a follow-up to that, what happens next, and do things escalate from here?
Well, this is something that we discussed this morning in the meeting that Justin described. I think the right thing now is for everyone to just calmly ascertain exactly what happened, gather the facts. There are teams that are doing that. We'll stay in touch as we're talking both to the Ukrainians, the Poles, and indeed allies amongst ourselves. Until we have a definitive answer, it's right that everyone just remains calm. But I think what we do know as a fact is that over the course of yesterday, Russia rained down something like over 80 different missile strikes on the Ukrainian people, on their civilian infrastructure. That is a fact. It's barbaric and it's wrong, and we shouldn't forget that that's why we're all standing here having this conversation today, and that's why it's right that we continue to support the Ukrainians.
Yeah, we shared a number of things with the Ukrainian foreign minister, but the important thing is to allow the investigations to go forward and find out exactly what happened. But there is no question that this is all because and linked to the fact that Russia is continuing to escalate its war on civilians, its illegal and justifiable war against Ukraine. At the same time as we are gathered here as the large economies of the world to try and deal with the consequences and fallout of Russia's continued illegal war, Russia is choosing to step up and be absolutely irresponsible in its attacks on civilians. Nous devons évidemment avoir une enquête complète pour savoir exactement ce qui s'est passé. On ne veut pas sauter à des conclusions, mais c'est certain que le contexte, on est dans une situation où la Russie a choisi de continuer leur attaque injustifiée, injustifiable contre les civils. On parle de 80, même une centaine de missiles qui ont été envoyés contre des cibles civiles et des infrastructures civiles en Ukraine de façon entièrement illégale, en même temps qu'en tant que grande économie de la planète, on est en train de dealer avec les conséquences de cette guerre complètement illégale de la Russie.
There are now reports from U.S. officials who are saying that initial findings of the investigation suggest that this missile that hit Poland was actually fired by Ukrainian forces who were trying to take down a Russian missile. You mentioned that you were talking to your counterpart this morning. Did that come up? Did he take any responsibility? Do you intend on asking the president when you talk to him? And does that change anything? Et pouvez-vous reprendre en français, s'il vous plaît, aussi?
I think we need to make sure that we're dealing in facts, and that's why making sure that there's a proper investigation and understand what happened is going to be extremely important. But I think regardless of what we find, there's no question that the Russian missile barrage aimed at civilians, aimed at civilian infrastructure like power stations and water supplies, exactly. Are at the cause of this latest challenges that we're facing in Ukraine. So we're going to continue to make sure we're dealing in facts, but we're also calling on no further escalations. We need to make sure that Russia stops its illegal attacks and that we can move forward in protecting Ukraine's territorial integrity and put an end to the impacts on people not just in Ukraine and now in neighboring countries, but around the world with the food crisis and with the energy crisis people are facing that is caused by the war in Ukraine.
Did the foreign minister take any responsibility or bring up anything about the fact that it may have been Ukraine who fired the missile?
As we said, we're still very much in the fact-gathering phase in the investigation. It's important that we move forward responsibly, but as we also said, this is in the context of massive illegal missile strikes by Russia on civilians in Ukraine.